Hello and welcome back to Refined Wellness. In this video, we are going to be talking about poo. Yes. My name is Megan Taylor. I'm a functional medicine practitioner and I help you simplify healing by getting to the root of your symptoms in your God-designed body. So in this video, I hope to inspire you to look at your God-designed poo and start asking, what message is it sending you? This is the Bristol stool chart, and it is a tool that you can use to start analyzing your poo. We're going to talk about each poo and what the message could possibly be. So this is the first type of poo, and it's type 1 poo, and it comes out in separate hard lumps. And it's typically hard to pass. And a lot of people who pass this kind of tool say that they feel really dissatisfied with their bowel movements, like they're having a lot of time evacuating fully, and they don't feel like they fully emptied themselves. This is a type of constipation. The possible message that your body could be sending you is that you're constipated. And we'll talk about some things that you can do after we talk about type 2. Here is type 2. Now, type 2 is similar to type 1 in the sense that it is hard to pass and it will be more lumpy and sausage-like. The possible message that your body is sending you with this type of poo is, again, constipation. So what are some things that you can do? We talked about gut health in our previous video. If you haven't already checked that out, go ahead and check that one out. But just to mention a few things that you can do for constipation is number one, get more fiber. A lot of people, especially today, are not eating enough fiber. You want to aim for at least 20 or more grams of fiber a day. My favorite foods that are high in fiber are things like stewed prunes and stewed pears. You can sprinkle cinnamon on it and it makes it a really tasty snack and high in fiber. You also want to make sure that you're hydrated, not just with plain water, but water that contains minerals. Minerals are really important for addressing constipation. Magnesium citrate is also a form of magnesium that is helpful. I have an entire post on forms of magnesium, but specifically for constipation, magnesium citrate is very helpful. Again, not medical advice. Always contact your provider to see if this would work for you, but it is an option that you can take to your appointment and discuss with your provider. Also, other forms of fiber that are really helpful is psyllium husks. You can get it at the store in the organic section typically, and is really helpful for addressing constipation. Remember, if you are not pooping, toxins are building up and they're recirculating in your system. This was a really big issue with me when I was dealing with estrogen dominance, because you need to be able to detox things like estrogen and get it out of your system. Otherwise, it begins to build up and it transforms into a toxic form of estrogen. So when you are constipated, it can lead to things like hormone imbalances. It can lead to eventually things like cancer, and it can worsen things like hemorrhoids and lead to a lot of other issues, which I've already covered in our videos up until now, if you want to check out those previous videos and dig more into gut healing. So let's talk about ideal stools. These are your poop goals. This is type 3 and type 4. You really want it to look like a snake, and you want it to feel satisfying, like it's actually coming out of you and you're fully evacuating your bowels. The message that your body is likely sending you is that you're eating enough fiber and you're not struggling from constipation. That is if this is happening once or twice a day. If you are not having a bowel movement every single day, your body is not detoxing appropriately, and you need to start addressing constipation. Remember, when it comes to evacuating your stools, you really want to make sure that you're not straining, because if you're straining all the time to have a bowel movement, it can lead to things like diverticulitis, because it builds up pressure within your walls of your intestines and it can lead to a lot of chronic disease. So there are things you can do like squatty potties that can help you to avoid straining when having a bowel movement, and then again, increase fiber, minerals, hydration, and things like magnesium citrate. Okay, so moving on, here is type 5, type 6, and type 7. Type 5 is soft blobs with clear edges. Type 6 is fluffy pieces with ragged edges, or like a mushy stool. And type 7 is water, and there's no solid pieces and it's liquid. The message that your body is likely sending you with this type of stool is that you're having diarrhea. There could be a lot of causes from this. There can be food sensitivities. There can be too much bad bacteria over good bacteria in your gut. It's also important to keep in mind that things like stress and anxiety can worsen these types of stools. And so addressing your nervous system is key for getting your bowels working in order. But remember, these types of things need to be addressed because if diarrhea goes on for too long, it is dehydrating your body and getting rid of essential minerals that you need. Okay, so let's talk about colors of poo and what it could be telling you. We're gonna start with the color green. When your poo is green, there can be a lot of different causes, but usually it's due to the fact that your body is not digesting things appropriately, or things are moving too quickly and your bile doesn't have enough time to break it down. Certain foods and ingredients can cause this as well. Green leafy vegetables can sometimes cause a person's poo to turn green. Green food coloring, and then flavored drinks and ice pops can also cause your poo to turn green. It's not necessarily super concerning when your poo is this color because, like I said, vegetables can do it, or if you don't have enough stomach acid, that could be an indication as well. But if it is happening on a consistent basis, then I would encourage you to address it. But if it's just happening every once in a while, it's likely your body just telling you that it didn't have time to digest that food. Okay, the next color is light colored stools, like white or clay colored. This one is a bit more concerning because it can indicate that you're having issues with your bile. It could indicate that you have a bile obstruction or something going on deep within your intestines. And if you have this color stool, I would highly recommend working with someone one-on-one and addressing the root cause, because if this is going on for too long, it can lead to a lot of issues in the future. Certain medications can also cause this. Things like Pepto-Bismol can cause this, and other anti-diarrheal drugs can cause it as well. So just make sure that you are paying attention to the inputs, like medications that you are giving yourself, and then the outputs, which is your stools, and start paying attention to what impacts it. It can be really helpful for catching things early. So yellow stools, greasy stools, or floating stools can be an indication that your body is not absorbing your food, especially fat. It's really common in people that have their gallbladders out because you need that bile to help you absorb the fat. Because when you're not properly absorbing and using fat, it's really hard for you to also absorb and use vitamins and minerals. So a lot of people that struggle with this type of stool struggle with things like vitamin B12 deficiency or other nutrient deficiencies. So this one is really important to look into as well. There's certain things that you can do to help promote healthy bile in your system, especially if you've had your gallbladder removed. I would look into things like ox bile or bile salts, because a lot of people are getting their gallbladder out and then they're ending up with malabsorption issues, which leads to things like worsening mental health, worsening digestion, and ultimately worsening chronic disease. Other indications of this type of stool can be pancreatic insufficiency, celiac disease, issues with fat absorption, like I said, after gallbladder removal. But bottom line, I would recommend working with someone one-on-one. Okay, and then we have black stool. Typically when your stool is black, it can indicate bleeding, especially in your upper gastrointestinal tract, such as the stomach, or it could also be medication induced. Certain medications like iron can turn your stool black. If you are taking things like Velphoro, it can turn your stool black. Pepto-Bismol or black licorice can also turn your stool black. I would recommend seeing someone right away if you have black stools, and again, pay attention to the inputs that you are giving your body and the outputs that you are receiving. Bright red stool is typically an indication and a message from your body that you are experiencing bleeding. This can be bleeding in the lower intestinal tract and can be really common in people with hemorrhoids. When you're thinking about prevention when it comes to hemorrhoids, go back to straining. Are you straining when you have a bowel movement? If yes, you really need to catch that early. That way you don't have worsening hemorrhoids moving on in the future. Other common things that can lead to bright red stool or red stool is things like beets. They can turn your stool red. Red food coloring, cranberries, tomato juice, red gelatin, and drink mixes. So let's talk about your poo goals when it comes to your God-designed body. You should not be straining to have a bowel movement. Healthy poo should also not have any discernible food, except at things like corn. Your body can't absorb corn, so it's typically common when it comes out as a full kernel. But if you are having this happen often with various types of foods, that's an indication that your body is not digesting food appropriately. And when you are not digesting food appropriately, your body can't use it and assimilate it. So when we think about ways to prevent that, that goes back to the stomach acid conversation that we had in our previous videos. Healthy poo should also look like a log and be brown. Ideally 1 to 2 times daily. Poo that sinks and does not float. If your poo is floating, it's an indication that your body is not absorbing fat appropriately. If these details do not describe your God designed poo, remember that our bodies are always sending us a message and it's up to us to listen. Your health really begins in the gut. And one way to really promote optimal health in your God-designed body and to be a good steward of your body is to start listening to the message that your poo is sending you. So I hope you found this video helpful. I will link the gut healing guide. It's a free guide in the comment section to this video, and go ahead and check out the other videos if you haven't, and let me know in the comment section if you found this helpful. Like this video and hit the subscribe button for more content like this.